How's it going out there, guys? Welcome to the show. We got a great one lined up for you today. As usual, if you'd like to support this channel, there are PayPal and Patreon links in the info box below. Like we got a pretty full house in here. Give him a radio check. Distinguished Nathan Oakley, sir. How's it going, sir?
Very, very well. Good to be here. Welcome to everyone out in YouTube land.
Loud and clear. We have Chocolate back from vacation in the Andes. What's up, Chocolate?
Vacation in the Andes, yeah. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Yeah,
I'm
good,
driving
good.
around a little bit. Been a little bit busy on, work, make that money. So might be in and out, but hopefully not too noisy.
You've been missed, sir. Let me tell you that.
Have I really? Oh, guys, missed you guys too.
Yeah. Brian Logic, sir. Radio check. How's it going? Alrighty then. There's some other Ballbusters.
Maybe he's muted.
Yeah, no, he's not. He's good. There's some other Ballbusters that are on sort of vacation. It's getting around that time, getting real close to summertime, so you're good to go out there. Shout out to Betty. She couldn't make it today. We got the Black Swan again. What do you got to say about that?
I think it's epic. It's got a new name, though. Blackpool Swan.
Nah, that's a completely other Black Swan, but okay. Like I said, I still like to run home to mama with this one. It's more cut and dry. It's not too squirrely.
There's two different ways of looking at it, because there's the Black Swan argument, i.e. the Karl Popper argument, the Modus Tollens argument, and then there's the Black Swan image. So the original Black Swan image is what the ballers call the bendy crane refraction image. That image I would call the Black Swan when referring to a picture, as opposed to the Blackpool Swan, which is another Black Swan, meaning it's got the Modus Tollens argument applicable, but it's not the same image, so you can't call it the Black Swan image, so it's the Blackpool Swan image, right? Make sense?
Nah. Like I said, I still like that one because it's really cut and dry. Not that the Blackpool Swan's not. Those demarcations of distance in relation to the horizon, I just think it just drives it home like no other. My humble opinion.
I agree. I mean, the original is the best. It's perfect in terms of you've got something at 6 miles, something at 9 miles plus, and then the horizon beyond them. It's very cut and dry. I can't agree with you more. There's a reason was the originator of the argument. That's why it's called the Black Swan as an image. is very cut and dry. There's your demarcation points to the horizon. That's all they serve. I know it's been 18 months, but I'll still say it. That's their only purpose. The argument isn't about the oil rigs. Just thought I'd drop that in.
No, I'm telling you, Nathan, this very morning, not more than 90 minutes ago, I got bendy crane refraction and the oil rig argument. I swear to you, it just scroll up the main text chat is people doing the same thing to me. I can't believe it.
The video that I published just before this show started was about the black swan coming home to roost. The respect that the arguments formerly made about the geometric horizon, anyone unaware of what that is, that's Earth curve, now can't stack up against the black swan argument. The current defense is, well, no one claims the horizon's Earth curve, a bit like with Borealis effect, where they deny their claim in the first instance. Well, it's a bit more severe. With Earth turn, you can convolute it to the point where your average Joe Normie won't really appreciate what's being argued or not argued about in the case of drift. Whereas with Earth curve, you're like, how much more cut and dry do you want it to be? Claim is a geometric one. Claim we can measure Earth as a sphere with its Earth curvature. The obstruction at the horizon, that's your Earth curve. And if you haven't got it, you haven't got it. You haven't got Earth curve is the current rebuttal. They try and spin it in a way that says, well, we've never claimed that the horizon is Earth curve. The horizon, apparent, redundant by the way, is caused by the geometric horizon. Where's the geometric horizon? Well, you can't see it. It only exists in the maths. But ultimately, their current rebuttal is something that only exists in maths and cannot be seen causes an apparent position.
No, there's a certain faction out there, and I know you've heard this. It's just whispered stage at this point. Only a couple people are parroting this, but it's going to catch hold. Is that the apparent horizon, which is redundant, the geometric horizon projects the apparent horizon to another position. So, I don't know what you do with that.
Even if you accept it, well, other than laugh, if you accept it at face value, the argument and the maths and the claim requires a tangent to do the geometry. Therefore, having a justifiable way of saying it's projected, if that's the word you used, into a non-geometric position, like that's a self-defeating rebuttal. As soon as you move the horizon, it's no longer your geometric claim. It's no longer Earth curve. You know, the thing that used to block boats and buildings? So it's like getting it through to people has taken literally 18 months, but it started to reach the point where you can say, yes, you do definitely claim the horizon is Earth curve. You definitely claim you can measure it with geometry. You definitely assert that it's blocking things and show us geometry to claim that's what's causing it. So trying to deny your claim of Earth curve in the first instance is not going to go too well for you. But 18 months of hand waves, it started to come to the point where you have people saying, no, we've never claimed the horizon that we see is Earth curve. And yet I've got hundreds and hundreds of hours of people saying exactly that and drawing tangents. And when they say, well, no, when we drew a tangent, we didn't need to draw a tangent to do tangent-based geometry. We could do it without one. Like, no, your argument's now descended into farce, globe believers. You don't have to like it.
Yeah, it's laughable. Before we move on to that, let's just take care of some chat skank powers. Activate. All right, listen, guys. I talked to Witsit. It was on Wednesday or Thursday, and he told me regarding the Skankbeard fraud incident, he told me that there was a gentleman with him, and it was most likely his voice in the background. Okay? So, McGoober and Skankbeard, you're off the hook for that charge. You understand that? So all you skanks, McSkanks, can go back and crawl underneath the abominations of the earth from whence you came. All right? They're still sack-sniffing retards. McBooger eating schmuck and Skankbeard, yeah, that charge still is levied. So just want to make sure now, go return home, right? It's over. We're on to the Black Swan, the killer of your ball-tard spinning space monkey religion. Got it? Thanks. Sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah, I had to take care of that, Nathan. Yeah, I had to take care of that, man.
Fair enough.
So, McBooger eating schmuck, you capiche that?
Oh, I thought we were going to leave it at that. I thought that was the end of it.
No, I want to make sure. I want to make sure he capiches that. Blow boy McNancy, you got that? You're still a sack sniffing retard. That charge still being levied at you. Have you listened to yourself recently? Okay, so go back underneath the abominations of the earth, like I said, and we'll take care of our business here. Now we're done, Nathan. Thank you.
Perfect. So, 18 months it's taken people to appreciate that if you relinquish the geometric horizon by way of any rebuttal, regardless of how coherent it seems to you when you're stating it, you invalidate your claim in the first instance. Now, Huey mentioned this to me after the fact when I started to ask him to use a different image. But while there was a wide variety of choices when it came to Black Swan images, because this isn't the only one, the Black Swan image isn't the only Black Swan. Far, far from it. It was very carefully selected. So you might ask yourself, as I did, why would you have one with bendy cranes in it? That makes no sense. Here's a crystal clear one. Quantum Eraser. Use this one. This is better, I said, with my arrogance and self-assured nature that I have. Here you go. Here's a better image. No, 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 was the reply. I want them to say refraction. Oh, really? Why would you want to say refraction in rebuttal? I don't get it. Clearly, at the time, I didn't fully understand the argument, which I'm more than happy to confess in this discussion. So, having been told, I want them to say refraction, kind of leaves you with the question, why would you want them to say that? Well, because as soon as you move the horizon, it isn't geometric. Summing up the conclusion of the modus tollens. So not geometric? Yeah, that's the argument. So what's that? You're moving it to be not geometric? Wonderful. Yeah, that's where your globe dies. But what they do is they go, refraction. Go, yeah, that means you haven't got a tangent. Yeah, but refraction, it's a refracted horizon. Yeah, but that destroys your geometry. No, we've still got the imaginary geometry. We base the refracted horizon on it. Where is it? We can't see it. We just base the horizon we can see on it. And so it goes on. In other words, they're delusional.
Yes, sir. Yeah. They can't get away from it. As soon as they say refraction, they don't even realize it yet. You have a lot of people laughing at you guys, especially this morning, because I'm saying, don't you know that that's not the argument? I think one of the arguments this morning was that the legs on the oil rigs were somehow occluded. I'm like, well, that's a good thing my argument isn't about the oil rigs.
Ow.
That's quite an interesting one because it parallels a different Black Swan from National Geographic. So in the case of National Geographic, they have some compression at the most limited angle when they're viewing this boat with a flag on the back of it from the beach. And that optical obstruction is claimed to be the Earth curve edge obstruction, which is formerly known as the horizon in their maths, right? And they break down the values. The only problem being that what they're claiming is an obstruction at the base of the boat due to what they're claiming is Earth curve obstruction isn't caused by the horizon. Where's the horizon, you say? Well, it's behind the boat. So clearly you haven't got an Earth curve physical geometric obstruction causing it when it's getting more squashed at the bottom and more stretched at the top. Clearly an optical effect. Meanwhile, your Earth curve edge horizon is beyond the boat. It's like, so that's a Black Swan then? Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, like last night on James, when I was talking to someone listening, photo I put up with a horizon that's 12.5 k's away, and it's supposed to be 3.5 k's from the observer. Then they're saying, no, that's not the horizon. The mountains that's 80 k's away is the horizon, and they can't see the problem.
Telling me that it's pointing out that the horizon's further.
Yeah, and somehow that's their point.
Oh, no, we're dealing with the complete idiots now, I think. People who might have got it or realise the implications of it have long since distanced themselves from us, right? But the ones that are still going, oh, refraction, it's a refracted horizon. They're more than happy to get back at us, but they're the real, dredges of these people in debate now. The real thickos. Like I say, I think the ones that are a bit more intelligent and still want to retain a bit of cognitive dissonance will just distance themselves from the argument, realising the implications.
You talking about just the regular skank and file retards?
Yeah, the rank and file skanktards.
The skank, that's a good one, but no, skank and file.
Skank and file.
Skank and file, right? Yeah, but that what I'm talking about is the people who. It's Dunning-Kruger, I think, is the correct term for it. They don't know what they don't know, and they're cocksure enough to come in and argue refraction. And like I say, me in my ignorance, a couple of weeks into the argument, was asking why you'd want that as a response. And 18 months down the line, the Globers are still barking it. That does tickle me. It does, because it just demonstrates how stupid they are.
And they don't realize it. That's the fun part about it.
Well, it's even worse than that, because the supposed opponents that have shows, they're really stupid. But then look, who's dumber, the fool or the fool that follows him? Right? Look at the people that actually keep following them. How stupid must they really be? That's just mind-blowing.
Is it me, or has Arwen been waxing more philosophical than usual?
Yeah,
No more.
I've leveled up in wizard class.
So no more.
By the way, I had to relay a message from Brian who says for some reason he's server muted.
Again? I took him off when he came in. All right,
okay.
Brian, I got you again. Sorry about that.
I think it's just a rule for the Irish.
Yes, it is. Brian, radio check.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Hey, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sorry about that. When I joined, I had no sound, so I had to go out, and when I came back in, I was server muted.
Yep.
So you were
good.
saying radio check earlier. You're getting on. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. I'm going on mute because I'm having dinner. So
Fair enough.
I'll be unmuted in a few.
So no more philosophy for the next few?
If it's really urgent, I'll ram it through anyway, even if I'm talking with my mouth full.
You need someone to speculate about what the sun is, or likewise, we'll
Get out the
we'll get in.
Arwen signal.
Ah, come on.
All right.
Can you hold that for 10 more minutes?
It was just a speculation of what we might need you to hypothesize about.
All right.
It takes you 10 minutes to eat.
Can we take Arwen's dinner off the table of discussion?
Yes, we can.
Before-
Yes, we surely can. Yes.
All right.
Excellent. Yeah, I do genuinely believe what I just said, which is that it is down to the stupid people to come and argue Black Swan with us now. Most of them, people that maybe I can only speculate that they have to come in to lie, and I'm talking about people like Rumpus. They're forced into the position by other people who are making claims with photos that turn out to be black swans. So, those sorts of indefensible positions end up with greasy lawyering from Rumpus. Right, Chocolate?
Yes, Rumpus is the best of the greasy lawyers.
Speaking of that, thank you. That reminded me, and I almost forgot. And I always do this. So the Numpty Baltard playlist, make sure you guys are hitting that up. There is a link in the description for the playlist. I'm telling you, the best flat earth proof for new guys, newbies, or semi-newbies, right? You need to be sending that link out to those. I'm telling you. And speaking of which, We got some numpties this week. This is going to be a classic week, let me tell you. So we're going to do rockets in a vacuum, reference frame retards, and second law of thermodynamics with a little bit of other stuff, other gems attached. So make sure you tune into those clips this week. They're going to be classic. So thanks for that, Nathan. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you hear that, ballers? We're using your words as proof we're not on a sphere, aka flat Earth proof. Yeah, your own words are what are being trimmed out and sent out to layman as proof we're not on a sphere.
I'm telling you, wait till you hear this week. You ain't gonna believe it. Well, yeah, you will.
You glad you did them on a delayed release now?
Say again?
Originally, you were like, I just want to pump them all out at once. And I was like, no, schedule them, delay them, let people appreciate them.
Your wisdom in that area, that's why you were consulted. So you set me straight. Yeah, appreciate it.
I look forward to it. I know the schedule. You plug it a lot. People know they're out there. And, you know, they come out relatively regularly, 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's enough for you to miss one. And then, you know, it warrants going back and looking at the playlist. Did I hear this numpty clip? I don't believe I did. I'll chuckle at this one again while I'm at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, sir. It's the playlist is the key, right? That is the key. If you miss it, not a problem. If you miss it live, go hit that playlist. Wait till it gets to about 150. Just wait. Oh, and from some of the kings, not just the skank and foul ones, some of the kings of the spinning ball tard space monkey religion on there. So look out. It's a coming. All right. You guys ready to rock and roll on the Black Swan? I surely am.
Think so. You all ready?
Yep.
Mic discipline, please. Don't want to do that. Let's get this going. So like I said, I think this is about the 10th, 11th presentation. I'm not for sure. It's somewhere around there with the Black Swan. It's a very, very simple argument. And it all starts with and is based on the horizon. So what is that? Well, we got from their Alma Mater Wiki, it's the apparent line that separates the Earth from sky. Very simple. I think everyone kind of figured this out. Maybe back in preschool? I don't know. It's somewhere in that vicinity. I figured out what horizon meant. But we have to define it because we have a lot of cases of willful ignorance. From Merriam-Webster, horizon. The line where the Earth seems, very important word right there, to meet the sky, the apparent, bigger important word, the apparent junction of the Earth and sky sailing toward the horizon. And Oxford dictionaries to round everything out. The line at which the Earth's surface and the sky appear to meet, right? So you see these words. See, I highlighted them and bolded them, right? I wanted you guys to make sure to understand what these words mean. In this context, it means not actual. Apparent is not actual. Everyone's got that. So, the geometric horizon. This thing's causing a brouhaha for about the past 4.5, 5 years. People still don't know what it is. Some people think it's invisible. It jumps everywhere. It's getting projected. I mean, Houdini's in the background blushing at this thing. So let's figure out what this thing is. From the U.S. Department of Defense, horizon. In general, the apparent or visible junction of the Earth and sky, as seen from any specific position. Also called the apparent, visible, or local horizon. You see this local horizon? Let's match up terms. with the subject matter experts in this specific area. National Geographic. You see the same term, right? Or the same phrase. Local horizon. Well, what's that? The local horizon, also called the geometrical horizon, is the visible boundary between the Earth and sky. You see how they match up? Apparent, visible. We're going to get apparent here in a second. Local, you see the match? Played a little match game? Well, the geometric horizon is apparent. Whenever you say the term horizon, you automatically involve the apparentness of it because it's what it is. And why is that? Well, number one, the sky never actually meets the earth or the sea. That's why it's apparent. Follow? Probably not. Number two, it's based on and changes with the observer's height, making it apparent. Now, what can obstruct or obfuscate or obscure the geometric horizon? Obviously, weather, atmospheric, which is a paradox, we'll get to that, conditions, waves, tides, etc. The geometric horizon can never be more than, very important phrase right there. That's why it's highlighted and underlined, got little stars around them. I do that for emphasis because it's important. It's important conditional. It can never be more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. It can be closer than that. But it can never be what? Farther than that. Because that goes beyond what its geometric constraints allow. Very simple. Like I stated here. On the ball-tarred ball, the geometric horizon can be no more than what its geometric constraints allow, based on the observer's height and radius. That's where it's key. So let's figure it out. We have Andrew Thomas Young, San Diego State University, Astronomy Department, subject matter expert, and the University of Washington. How did I come up with this? Well, if you go to any Earth curve calculator, if you look on any of them, it'll have distance to the horizon. This formula that I'm going to give you is the formula in every single Earth curve calculator. There's no magic here. It's just basic geometry. So from Andrew Thomas Young, if h is in meters, that makes the distance to the geometric horizon 3.57 kilometers times the square root of the height of the eye in meters, or about 1.23 miles times the square root of the eye height in feet. Right? This isn't secret knowledge. It's just basic geometry. The University of Washington Department of Mathematics told you the same darn thing. All right? It's very easy. No tricksies. The death of the ball-tarred spinning space monkey religion. Again, if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, then every horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's a geometric horizon, like I told you, the curve calculators have it. There she is right here. It's over. This photo right here, it's over. Right? Now, the oil rigs are used just for demarcation. Distance demarcation. That's all they're there for. I don't care what they're doing. They can be doing cartwheels with purple tutus on. I could care less. Right? As long as they're staying the same distance away from the observer, we're good to go. So no Brandy Crane refraction. We're going to get to that here in a few minutes. Don't worry about it. So the observer's height in feet, according to BMLSB 69 Bo, is 1 foot. In fact, when we spoke, he said it was below 1 foot, but we're splitting hairs. Everyone could see from the original video, which is in fact in the description of this video. So all you got to do, like I said, the description box is very important. Hit that and you'll see the BMLSB Bo's videos, right? This is a screenshot that I took off the video. Now, all I did was color contrast this to bring the horizon out just a bit more. That's all I did to it, right? It's as right as the rain. The observer height here is 1 foot. The distance to the horizon, that geometric horizon, is greater than 9.41 miles. It's easy to see because the horizon is behind the second platform at 9.41 miles. The distance to the horizon maximum for a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles can only be 1.22 miles, folks. That's all it can be under any circumstances. Now, remember, I said it can be closer than that, no problem, due to a number of conditions, but it can never be further than the geometric constraints allow. It's over right here. I can stop. The globe, Earth, spinning ball, space monkey religion's dead right here. It's over. And folks, this is a measurement. This is a measurement. Do you get it? Maybe some people ask me why. It's pretty self-evident. It's sitting there looking at you. Even if the observer was 5 foot high right here, the maximum distance to the geometric horizon would be 2.73 miles. If he was on a step ladder at 35 feet and took this photo, the maximum distance with that observer height would only be 7.24 miles. It would be in between these two platforms, even at 35 feet. Ding dong, the ball's dead. It's over. The argument, modus tollens. Holy shnikes, this is going to leave a mark. If P, then Q, not Q, therefore not P. If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, P, then every horizon distance measurement must be no more than 1.225 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, Q. Not Q, because the horizon distance is greater than 9.41 miles. We'll get to that in a moment. Again, therefore not P. The Earth is not a sphere. The ball-tard spinning space monkey community, please allow me to introduce to you your Black Plague. There she is. Isn't she a beaut? How about this beauty? You're done. Finished. Kaput. You putzes. If you don't like this one, we can go to this one. How you like me now? Questions, comments?
Yeah, I was so tempted to interrupt right at the beginning of the presentation and say, did you hear that? The argument is about the horizon. You all hear that right at the beginning? Maybe not.
Yeah. The thing they throw away now that they don't want to talk about.
Right, they want to talk about like the things in the picture and how they're bendy and basically the actual refraction, all that actual refraction, not the terrestrial refraction that they fictionally claim because it has to be, because it's the only reason that everything looks so flat and that that's possible, even though it is a paradox. But I had a question though about horizons. What about the horizons you can't see? What about those?
Can't be seen. It's not a... Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah. The horizon you can't see?
Yeah, there must be one horizon in between there that you can see, right? I remember Rumpus blurting out a whole list of horizons, and there is something to it. I wonder, is there any horizon in between there other than the geometric horizon that you can't see?
Well, we have the Houdini horizon today now, termed by Quantum Eraser. So that's another one. The Houdini horizon. You know, the one that projects itself up off of the geometric one.
What?
The Houdini horizon. The Houdini
now, I get it. Houdini, I know Houdini is.
Yeah.
But still.
I'll leave QE tell you.
Adam, if he's not a philosopher, Arwen's not going to understand it right now. He's going through a phase.
Okay.
No, just messing with you.
So in the words of Chocolate saying, it can't be seen. It's not a horizon.
That's profound.
Okay, but what about if it's not? It's a horizon within some non-optics related thing, like within a model.
Again, at the beginning of the presentation, there's a citation that, again, shout out to Chocolate saying who's there in a pinch when somebody's arguing about the horizon not being a horizon or not being visible, or the non-visible, non-existent, mathematical-only horizons Arwin's alluding to being something that you can base an apparent position where the sky meets the land or sea. Okay, well, no, unfortunately not. Got to be a visible demarcation as described by National Geographic for you to be qualified as a horizon. Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that we can't list off the other horizons that they claim and are in existence or are labelled as horizons. For example, when acquiring a tangent plane, that would be a justification for measurements on a flat surface that you actually dwell atop, you can acquire one by way of an astronomical horizon, 90 degrees to your zenith when presupposing a spherical Earth. That's an imaginary horizon. You look up the definition of what it actually means. Well, an imaginary horizon, 90 degrees to your zenith, it's not a horizon, it's an imaginary horizon. You with me? It's got to be visible. It's a visible point. You're a horizon.
Oh, so there are non-visible horizons. Awesome, I knew it.
I say you can invent as many as you like, right? But Earth curve, specifically, is a geometric horizon. And it's claimed to be visible. Not only is it claimed to be visible, it's claimed to be obscuring things in the distance with its physicality. Yeah? That's a visible demarcation between sky and land or sea. That means you can see it. You can't, it isn't.
Well, I might be in a cheeky mood here and play Ed for a moment and say, no, we claim it obstructs things in the distance. We claim terrestrial refraction doesn't make it obstruct things, right? Even though geometrically it is.
Okay, we'll get into this in the next part of QE's presentation, but when a fundy, and you can tell Arwen's been listening to how they argue this on Flat Earth Debate, right? When a fundy says the word refraction, Arwen, you know full well that their refraction's based on the R value. The R value is acquired by way of the geometry. The R value in that instance is that spear edge horizon. It's the tangent point horizon that the geometry is based on. If you're going to say, well, my refraction in standard form at 7/6R, what has moved the horizon into a losing non-geometric position, which is what you're effectively saying, number one, you've already lost the argument because then the horizon's moved to a non-geometric location and therefore can't acquire geometry. But also, if you're going to say the way it's done it is by way of the geometric-based refraction, you can't acquire that if you haven't got the geometric horizon that you've then moved it to. It's no longer geometric if you're refracting it. And while that takes a lengthy explanation, because that's what you've got to come up with if you're a fundy, you're defending the indefensible, a very long and convoluted, nonsensical, paradoxical rebuttal. It requires an unpacking of that lengthy paradoxical rebuttal, which say that the geometry I depend on and claim in the first instance is no longer visible. That in itself is where you lose the argument.
I'm always very curious. I just wanted to round it out. Like, if the ballers really think there was such a thing as terrestrial refraction that would significantly alter sight and cause things to like unfold a spiral into a flat surface, like if that is an inherent thing that is inherent to sight, like why would they think that away up there you could look down to Earth as a ball and it actually would look as a ball? How?
Smart.
Wouldn't it look really weird, like a tube? You're looking at a tube? Like it would stretch out flat at the horizon, at the geometric horizon, like it would on Earth. That would be so weird.
We'll assess whether or not it's up for me to give him props. Yeah, props. You've been listening to what the ballers do in terms of their acquisition of this optical phenomena So you were there when the guy was saying, well, what if terrestrial refraction was something you're just discounting it? And I had to take him through the process of saying, do you see the side of your own head? View things in an orthographic view. So when Arwin cleverly said it twice, describes it optically, no, as I said in the first instance, it's a geometric application. Maths takes place in an orthographic representation of a world. Therefore, you don't experience and can never experience what is described as terrestrial refraction. Light bending at the rate of the sphere Earth you're assuming is beneath your feet to bring back targets from beyond a geometric horizon claimed to be proven as Earth curve in the maths. When you do that terrestrial refraction, your application thereafter, it's taking place in the geometry only, where 7/6R or R-based refraction or globe refraction takes place. It doesn't take place in the optical realm. Not going to see it in other words. But you said it twice, Arwin.
Well, that is how it is basically conjured up. That's how it is designed. Indeed, it uses geometry, the orthographic view, but those are more kind of like tricks to make people that inquire into the mechanics of it kind of confused, like, oh, there might be something to it, right? It's kind of a confusion, really, a machination. But what they really suggest, if you would basically overlook the details of how it was conjured, if you would assume that it's actually a real optical effect, which is where it springs from, it is bending light, causes you to see things differently as they are geometrically, well, what would be the overall consequences of all that? I don't think you could ever go supposedly up into space and then look at the Earth and it would look like a ball. No way. If it doesn't look like a ball at Earth at ground level, why would it look like a ball up there?
Props again. So what Arwin's now done again is what a fundy would do, is essentially ignore by pointing out that you can't experience terrestrial refraction. It's geometric. Well, no, he acknowledged it, even more smart. Acknowledge it and then ignore it. So he's acknowledged it and then said, well, what about a circumstance where, and then he gave a whimsical description of space, but ultimately reinserted the idea of terrestrial geometric-based refraction at 7/6R in standard form is actually going to be experienced optically. So he's given us a new scenario to render in our minds to bridge between geometric refraction and something we experience with our eyes. They're never going to be linked together. They can't be. They're not linked. They're not experienceable. One is not experienceable in the other's realm. So no matter how much Arwin now comes back with another scenario potentially, we'll link the two together. But what they'll do on the globe side, I'm sorry to talk so long, Arwin, is they'll talk to you in a very educated manner about what real refraction effects are. Maybe even show you something happening in a fish tank. Who cares? They'll be educated on the subject of optical effects we experience. At some stage, like Arwin's done twice, but happily hasn't fundy muted me while I point it out, you have to bait and switch your opponent, if you're on the globe side, I'll reiterate that, with 7/6 of a radius in standard form, that's terrestrial refraction, versus what you've previously spoken educatedly about optical effects. So that when you do put the mathematics of what they say light does on a globe, don't notice that what they were talking about previously when describing, say, looming, for an example, that wasn't what they're mathematically actually doing. It's a bait and switch.
Yes, perfectly stated. That's exactly what.
Hey, shout out. Let me interrupt you for a second. Brian, I know you wanted to add something. Just hold off for a second. Shout out to Tony Wickham. Super chat. He said, this is right on point. Ball Earth is so much fun. As a kid, believe it. But as an adult, you have no excuse. Very true, sir. Thank you. Brian.
Yeah, well, on the 7/6R point, that being real would mean we'd have daylight 24/7. And on a full moon, we'd have to have protective glasses on us because the light would be so unbelievable. Because the sun could never set under those circumstances. Like what I mean is that the light could never go away because it's always being bent up around the curve. You know, there's complete utter nonsense. And the ball, go on.
I hate to come back at you with globe rhetoric. I don't like playing devil's advocate, Brian. I've got to correct you. Their rhetoric does include refraction rate of the sun. In other words, that is described in their narrative, obviously being refracted with respect to the geometric horizon. Nevertheless, they do claim that there's a delayed sunset because of the refraction rate, causing you to see a refracted sun also. So they do actually incorporate that refraction rate into sunsets. They don't necessarily need to explain why we don't have the sun like constantly refracted at the rate they debate about occasionally when they give you infinite over 6R. Say, well, you can see your own arse in a telescope if the light's just bending the right way. But they don't, in the standard rhetoric, actually claim that. I think they give you a certain period of time to say, no, what you see from the sun is actually a refracted sun, therefore delayed when it goes over the horizon geometric sphere edge.
Yes, but the problem is they have to use actual refractive calculations for that, whereas 7/6R does not include sun, because they need the sun to be going down behind the geometric horizon. So they can't have the sun not going down behind something because it's all being projected into a flat plane. So yes, they do have those calculations, but they have absolutely nothing to do with 7/6R.
Correct. Yeah, they can't calculate.
World, you can calculate it in that geometric world, and based on that assumption, where you take away all reality and describe it with maths that bends light at the rate of a radius, derivative thereof, you end up having an assertion where you can see the back of your own head in a telescope. That nicely highlights how they exclude perspective. In other words, based on the rate that you bend the light, you can bend it all the way around a sphere Earth till you see the back of your own head in a telescope. Wouldn't factor in that the angular size of your target, based on their presuppositions that light could bend all the way around a sphere Earth, wouldn't factor in that you'd reduce in size so much that you wouldn't be seen. Because in their maths, when they do that or make that claim, you're still just a 6-foot man in an orthographic view with a circle drawn all the way around to the back of your own head. In that depiction, you just put man looking at the back of your own head, right? Makes perfect sense. No, not only does it not make sense because light doesn't bend at the rate of a radius in an orthographic view, not only can you not get that perspective, it doesn't include any perspective. In other words, the size of the target doesn't change regardless of how much you increase the distance.
Yeah. What I meant to sorry, I just rounded out.
Go on.
What I meant to say with you can't calculate it is, not, of course, you can calculate the geometry, right? You can move around with the geometry. But what you can't actually calculate about terrestrial refraction is it as an optical effect. Because what they do instead is they just take a flat plane and say, now this is supposed to be a globe, right? And it'll work because it'll look just like the real world where you are conditioned to think like that. But they can't do the ray tracing with terrestrial refraction.
Yeah, I think you're off the reservation with terrestrial refraction. We're going to get to that.
The words you're looking for are geometric considerations. Yes, they do all of their demonstrations of actual optical refractive effects on a flat surface, and then tell you to take geometric considerations and to beg the question of our. We are off the reservation. Sorry, QE.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, we're going to get that's a good topic. We're coming to that. You want to get there? We'll get there most directly. You ready?
Sure, let's go.
Let's go. Mike, discipline, please. Potential debunks of the Black Swan. I have 7 here. I added another one because I forgot to put it in there last week. I did mention it. It just wasn't in the list. 1 through 4 are tear-jerking belly laughs. I'm not even going to deal anything with those. Number 5, the cranes on the oil platforms are distorted. That's a red herring fallacy. I wanted you to do that. That's why I used the photo. Psst. Yeah, it's a red herring, leading to non sequitur fallacy. Who cares about the cranes? They're not part of the argument. Right? They're only demarcating distances for us. That's it. Number 6, refraction, right? So the geometric horizon, my argument is refracted, eh? Welcome to flat Earth. Snacks are in the back, bathrooms on the left, DJ spinning request, smoke them if you got them. You don't understand that, do you? As soon as you see geometry refracted here, you see this? This is a big problem. This is another paradox, right? We'll get into that more over the next few minutes. And number 7, I just brought this up earlier. the geometric horizon projects the apparent horizon, which is redundant, in a different location, which has got to be some serious shroom-induced toast you guys have buttered. I don't know where that came from. I really don't. You just made it up. It's silly. And then, of course, this one. Yeah, I've had this photo in my presentations from the word go. I talked about this initially. This is another photo taken 4 days later by Bo, BMLSB 69. Same camera height, same camera. 4 days later than the original Black Swan. Does this observation debunk the #1 globe killer? I mean, you got to think about it now. It doesn't take that much. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, right? Let me try to help you. These two photos, like I said before, are taken with the same camera and camera height 4 days apart. You have A, Black Swan, and B, the second photo is taken 4 days later. Not only are A and B both black swans. You understand that, right? You see B over here? This is another black swan. But Baltards, pay close attention. Your physical sphere edge horizon that blocks boats and buildings has moved. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. I don't think you understand the ramifications of this. You just bypass this, whistle right past the graveyard, right? Just looking at these two photos, your globetard ball is dead. It's dead. You don't realize it, do you? I know you don't, because you keep on posting B photo to me at least twice every 3 days. Some weeks it's a little bit more. It's like 20 to 30 times. Unbelievable. Do you know that what this is exactly telling us based on the horizon is that your spinning ball space monkey religion is inflating and deflating? Is that possible? Psst, kablooey. Kablooey, you don't get it. I'll stop right here. I think maybe you might want to comment here. Sometimes I go on for too long. Does anyone want to comment with this?
No.
Refraction.
No? My spidey sense was tingling that somebody might want to talk about this, but this pretty much covers it. I don't know how much further I can break these two photos down for you. Do you get it? Get my word.
Well,
no, I think
go
ahead,
Brian. All right, I'll go after Nathan.
Go ahead.
Want to go, Brian? Head?
No, I said I'll go after you, Nathan. You always go first. Come on.
I've actually forgotten what I was going to say now.
Okay, I lead just not to have day there. Yeah, what has that second photo got to do with anything anyway? The whole point is that the first photo is impossible. So it wouldn't matter where the second what the second photo showed, as the first photo is an impossibility on their model. So who cares what it shows?
You see this second... Go ahead, Nathan, sorry.
So it highlights the danger of hand-waving this argument. A lot of them have done. Just to say that they'll come across another photograph. Think affirms your ball Earth position. Because you've hand-waved the argument, you haven't assessed the picture you're going to present for its validity in the constraints of the modus tollens argument. In other words, you look at the picture and go, aha, something looks like it's blocking the bottom of the oil rigs. Oh, this is obviously a globe Earth proof. I assume the horizon's Earth curve. What they don't do is go, where should the geometric physical sphere edge horizon we call Earth curve actually be? I.e., assess it for its validity within the modus tollens structure. They don't do that because they've hand-waved it. They'll throw up the second picture and go, there you go. How do you explain how the oil rigs are obscured? You go, yes, our argument's about the position of the horizon. So let's have a look at the horizon. Where is it? Oh, what do you know? So it's beyond the geometric limitations of the sphere, radius 3959. Therefore, this is a black swan also. Same goes for the black pool swan. I might say, well, the demarcations aren't cut dry, and I'd agree with you. Change that it's a black swan. Same goes for the secondary picture, which correctly identified straight away by you, was in the first presentation. And your reason for having it was to make the very point I'm making now. Oh, right. So this now shows something that you assume is a physical sphere edge getting in the way of the oil platforms. Yeah, but it's still a black swan. Know your opponent's argument. Especially if you're going to start making claims. Especially if you're going to crop stuff out. Because if you've hand waved the argument, you won't think to assess it. That's embarrassing when someone comes along and goes, that's a black swan. It's beyond the geometric limitations of your sphere. What are you going to tell me? Refraction. Yet this image breaks your globe belief. Like I say, the only response I've got at that point is to bat refraction at you, debunking their model further, putting another nail in the coffin, whatever analogy you like.
Yep, you took my thunder with them, man. You totally understand it. Yeah. They don't understand that these two, the combination of these two photos, once you look here, well, you're dead to begin with. But it really gets bad when you shift your focus over here and take in both photos. You're finished. Don't you understand this? Have you been mainlining fluoride or live around power lines? You really have to gonna evaluate that there, Baltards. Because this, I don't know how we can break this down any further. I guess we'll do it 265,000 more times in front of you. And all the people that are sitting back not saying anything, evaluating how you react to these things, are laughing at you. This is, I don't know, second grade? I think somebody in first grade can understand this. I really do. I don't think I'm exaggerating.
There's one more fundamental thing that people miss when they present a new image. We have, so far, we might be, I don't know, on the rest of this presentation, but brush over it a little bit in this show. Say that understanding of what the Karl Popper analogy is in the first place would preclude you from presenting any further evidence.
That's true.
And I'll explain what I mean. So, Karl Popper analogy, the reason it's called the black swan, because it's a challenge to an assertion, claim, all swans are white. But in the analogy, you've already got a claimant. Person A makes the claim that all swans are white. Every swan I've ever seen is white. There are no black swans. They are all white. Now, to respond to that claim, you only require one black swan to dismantle the claim in the first instance. So if you're claiming all swans are white, you only need one to prove that claim. Now, if you, globe believer by comparison, make the claim that the horizon is Earth curve, is a geometric claim, and you only need to demonstrate a violation of that geometric claim once. Because, as has actually been covered in this show, you can't inflate geometry. Dumb that down one step. You're looking at the edge of a hill. There's something over the other side of the hill. You can't physically increase the size of the hill. Weighs the physical size measured physicality that the hill is. Now, if Earth's a sphere, it has geometric limitations, the same as the hill has physical limitations. Now, those physical limitations are laid down in Earth curve maths. And you only need to show once that the horizon, which is your geometric Earth curve, is beyond the limitations of Earth curve to demolish the claim of Earth curve being the horizon. Now, you can't refract it because you need geometry. It's the claim in the first instance. like you only need one black swan to disprove all swans are white, you only need one demonstration of a horizon beyond the geometric limitations of the sphere, debunk the sphere.
Articulated exquisitely. Thank you very much. If you don't get that, folks, I can't help you. Now, the big guy. Atmospheric refraction. I'm telling you, and this isn't a stereotype fallacy, I've been out here for 5 years. I have yet to hear one ball-tard spinning space monkey understand refraction. Refraction. That's all it is. Now, it may go a little bit deeper, like bendy crane or something like that, but that's where it ends. The argument is one word. Refraction. That's it. And like I said before, you see this little guy right here? Atmospheric. See, that's a paradox. That's a contradiction in terms, in other words, because atmo means air. Air is a gas. Sphere, hey, stay there. Sphere is a shape. Folks, gases have no inherent shape. There's a problem right here. Now, does light refract? Yeah, but that's not what we're talking. We're talking very specifically atmospheric refraction. That means that their gases have to curve. Outrageous fairy tale bollocks. But we're even going to deal with more death blows other than that. Let's take a look. So, refraction. So, what is it? Like I said, let's just roll with their paradoxical phrase. I call it paradoxical refraction, but we'll go ahead and toe the company line. From their alma mater wiki. Atmospheric refraction near the ground produces mirages. Such refraction can also raise or lower or stretch or shorten the images of distant objects without involving mirages. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've got 5 atmospheric refraction effects. Okay? Let's go back to wiki. This says number 2 right here. Cited is the Andrew Thomas Young, subject matter expert from San Diego State Astronomy Department. While mirages are the best known atmospheric refraction phenomena, looming and similar refraction phenomena do not produce mirages. Mirages show an extra image or images of the mirage object, while looming, towering, stooping, and sinking do not. Very important statements right there. No inverted image is present in those phenomena either. Depending on atmospheric conditions, the objects can appear to be elevated or lowered, stretched or stooped. These phenomena can occur together, changing the appearance of different parts of the objects in different ways. Sometimes these phenomena can occur together with the true mirage. La, la, la. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take what they claim as refraction, and then we're going to apply it to the black swan photo, because that's what they're doing. So they say refraction, so let's take a look at each of these and define them again and see if they apply to the black swan photo. So, like I said, there are 5 effects of refraction. So is the horizon miraged? Mirages show an extra image or images of the mirage object, right? So, is there an extra horizon, an extra image of the horizon in the black swan photo? No. Then it's not a mirage. And there goes your paradoxical geometric horizon refraction, right? We'll get back to that here in a few minutes. So 1 down. Let's do 2 and 3 together. So is the horizon towering or stooping? Now, what are those? Let's go over them again. Towering and stooping change the apparent shape of the object itself. With towering, objects appear stretched. With stooping, objects seem to be shortened. So, is the horizon stretched or shortened, stooped in the black swan photo? No. That's number 2 and 3 down. Why? Because it's non sequitur. Right? Horizon's not stooped or stretched. For goodness sakes. So, let's go to number 4. From Humphreys Jackson, Physics of the Air. Sinking. Sinking is the opposite of looming. In sinking, stationary objects that are normally seen above the horizon appear to be lowered or may even disappear below the horizon. In looming, the curvature of the rays are increasing. Yeah, sure. So if you can see, in sinking, it's relative. The objects he's comparing, it's conditional. The objects are relative to the horizon, right? You see that? Just like looming, they're twisted sisters. The objects that he's speaking about is always relative or in relation to the horizon, not the horizon itself. Follow? I digress. Is the horizon lowered or disappeared in the black swan photo? Is this horizon lowered or disappeared in this photo? No, because it's non sequitur, right? So we got 4 down. How many we got left to go? Aha, the star, right? Looming. Nobody knows what looming is. I'm going to show that here in a few minutes. But even within their incorrect definition, it has no application to the black swan, which is truly hilarious. So let's go ahead and define this monkey. I challenge you, flat earthers, to challenge globetards into their knowledge of looming. Because when they refraction, this is what they mean, right? They're thinking looming, right? So challenge them on it. Ask them to define it with citation and then provide an example. And then get the popcorn out. But what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how this is batshit insane. So looming from their own Modern Wiki. Looming is the most noticeable and most often observed of these refraction phenomena. It is abnormally large refraction of the object that increases the apparent elevation of the distant object or objects and sometimes allows an observer to see objects that are located below the horizon. Uh-oh. You see the comparison? It's the objects in comparison to the horizon. Follow? Let's go to the subject matter expert again, Andrew Thomas Young, San Diego State University Astronomy Department. Looming. It's cut and dry here. The appearance above the horizon of a distant object that would normally be hidden below it. See? Right? It's comparing the object to what? The horizon. It always comes in pairs. So objects to the horizon, not the horizon. The horizon doesn't loom above the horizon. Even in your incorrect definition. These are incorrect, but it's still non sequitur. We'll get to this terrestrial refraction here in a moment. So, is the horizon appearing above the horizon in the black swan photo? Is the horizon appearing or looming above the horizon in the black swan photo? No, it's non sequitur. It doesn't even make any sense. Of course, that's probably why they don't go past refraction, right? Because they ain't getting to anything specific because they don't even know what refraction is, right? So 5 down, they're all dead. We just battered them. The friggin' horizon doesn't ever loom. Ever. So now this is what we're going to get. We're going to get to terrestrial refraction. This is the game, folks, right? So in his definition of looming, if we continue, this effect is caused by unusually large terrestrial refraction. We're going to have to find out what that monkey is, right? Usually due to a thermal inversion, looming is the opposite of sinking. Yep, we already know that. Both are refraction phenomena, yeah, but not mirages. Okay, thanks. That's what we're going to deal with right now. What is terrestrial refraction? Well, folks, this is a stone cold begging the question fallacy times 2 within a paradox. A contradiction. Does light refract? Yeah. Is that the same that can be accounted for by terrestrial refraction? Answer? Nope. Keyword terrestrial. You see, terrestrial refraction already assumes a sphere. That is, the calculations assume the radius of the curvature. right? He's going to tell you, Andrew Thomas Young, the subject matter expert, is going to tell you right now the game that he plays. Here he is. Listen closely. The atmosphere is also curved. Look at this. There's the paradox, right? Because as we already went over, atmo means air. Air is a gas. Sphere is a shape. Gases have no inherent shape. They don't have any definite volume either, by the way, without a container, but I digress. So he's telling you the atmosphere is also curved. He's in Narnia with that statement, as it follows the shape of the Earth. In the calculations below, we'll adopt a rough value of 6,400 kilometers as the radius of curvature. Where'd you get that, Andrew? To make the calculation simple, he's finished. You got two begging the question fallacies and a paradox. In this, it's a short sentence or two short sentences. See this? Professor, you're assuming the premise atmosphere is curved, which is batshit insane. Then by proxy, Earth curvature to prove the conclusion true. They're your premises. That's terrestrial refraction looming. That's a textbook begging the question fallacy circular banjo do-si-do. This is third grade. You can destroy this. Right? This is a joke. Somebody needs to go get Andrew Thomas Young. He needs to stand for account with this. This is ridiculous. I know they're little color commentaries. I just explained it to you, though. I explained who, what, when, where, why, and how. Unbelievable. So let's get to the meat of this. Remember I said even within their incorrect definition of looming, it has no application to the black swan whatsoever, even though it's wrong. I'm going to show you how it's wrong right now. Nathan, do you want me to go into this or you guys want to say something because this is a little bit lengthy?
Can I say something?
Or did you go on vacation?
Can I say something?
I want to see if anyone got a more worthy point. I do have one point, but Arwin, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Baffled by the paradoxical spiral of somebody here in chat who claims that the terrestrially refracted geometric horizon still blocks things behind it with insight. That's what he said. I just, wow. that was it.
That's it. Thanks. Go ahead, Nathan. Do you have something to say on that? My spidey sense was going off.
Well, it got the description in a more long-winded way about begging the question. Do-si-do, Andrew Thomas Young's going through. But when you said that his light is bending, and no, and I disagree with you. Really sorry. But actually, yes. And the reason for his light to be bending at the rate that he gives, because he's got atmosphere. So they're begging the question fallacy starts the way they describe what the air is in the first instance. Now, you have pointed that out, but you just didn't link the two. In fact, you decried one with the other. You're like, well, no, the light isn't going to be bending. Well, yeah, it is, because they're saying atmosphere. Once you accept the atmosphere, that's atmo, air, sphere, fundamentalist religious presupposition, then you're already into their begging the question, and they can make that statement as factually accurate if you accept atmosphere. That was my minor point. That was it.
Cool. I want to spend some time. I wanted to stop. Like I said, I kind of felt that one, but I wanted to stop on this looming and just drop anchor using the parlance of our time right here, because I think this is really important. I'm going to show you how their definition is incorrect with example, by demonstration, not just a nuh-uh. I'm going to show you. Like I've been doing this for the past year and a half. People ought to be catching on to it, but they're not. So I'll just keep doing it. That's the definition of insanity. Keep doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Yeah, maybe a few people will catch on, right? And then just bust the baltards right in their incoherent chops with it. So here we go. We have the champion of the world, Andrew Thomas Young. And we have a scrappy contender, his Huckleberry. right underneath here. Let's see. I'm going to define these and then provide examples. We're going to see which one's correct. So, Andrew Thomas Young. The appearance above the horizon of a distant object that would normally be hidden below it is his definition of looming. You'll never hear any baltards state this. They'll give half definitions and stuff. They won't even say this because they know they're finished. Right? But I digress. Okay, everyone's got that. So, quantum eraser, Andrew Thomas Young's Huckleberry, his definition of looming is nothing more, than an optical illusion produced by the sky being inferior mirage underneath an object, giving the appearance of said objects floating above a false horizon. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Exhibit A. This is the quintessential example in Globetardia of looming. Okay? When we first started talking about this, I told everyone there's a little trick called off-center vision, right? They teach it in the military. I didn't need to be taught it. I did a lot of night operations before in the military, so I already knew. But if you look where the horizon should be, use your off-center vision, don't look at it directly, you can actually see it, right? It's right off the bow. In fact, I don't even have to use off-center vision. I can see it, right? So, what we got going on here, we got the sky being inferior mirage underneath the boat, giving the sense that the boat is floating above a false horizon. There's the false horizon right there, folks, right there. Yeah. If you look real close to this photo, you probably won't be able to see it on the stream. But if you look real close, you can see that the horizon right here is fragmented. That gives you another clue that this is baloney. But if you're really, really unsure, you just have to wait for the baltards to open up their incoherent blowholes. We have a special one here today. I introduced to you Mick West. He took this photo. You see that photo, folks? It's the same one. Right? Now, the tabloid media were calling this a mirage because they're basically clueless. And so is Mick West, but that's another point. He did get this correct in 2 parts, not the third part. So, he classified it. He said it's not a mirage. Mick, you're correct. This is not a mirage by definition. Remember what mirages were? Go and scroll back in the presentation, rewind back, and you'll figure out why this isn't a mirage. Conspiracy cats, you listen in. Because conspiracy cats thought this was a mirage also. He's laying down there toe tagged back here in February. Just go back and listen to him say it's a mirage. So this is not a mirage. The real horizon near here. Remember, we identified it. All he did was color contrast again. Right? He said the false horizon, right? He identified that too, was due to fog. Of course, that's incorrect. It's the false horizon. It's just not due to fog, because if it was due to fog, we wouldn't see the boat. Right? So I'll give him 95% for this, but he helped us out, right? Who's got the correct definition of looming? Me, Andrew Thomas Young's Huckleberry, or Andrew Thomas Young? I'll leave it with you, fine, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. That's just one. Here comes the second one. The second volley, right? I think this was 2014 or 2016 Scottish Open. Don't worry about this photo over here. Just look to the left. You don't need off-center vision to see what's going on here, right? Because I could see where the true horizon is. Right here. Or the actual. I shouldn't say that because it's not actual. But where the horizon is, right there. That's where it is. What's happening here is the sky above the boat is being inferior mirage beneath it, given the appearance, the false appearance of this boat floating above a false horizon, which is here. Color contrasted takes it right home, right? They actually didn't need to do this. Anyone with a can fog a mirror can understand what's going on here, right? Now, whose definition is correct? Like I said, I'll leave it with you fine folks. And lastly, shout out to Betty. Like I said, when I first showed her this photo, she said the boats were being raptured. This is one of the best examples, in my opinion, of what they call looming. Right? It has all the ingredients. It's the best one for me, too. Because it shows how my definition is exactly right. Why? Well, you can see the clouds here Now, they're a bit collaged underneath here, but you could see them reflecting down here, right? They're right in line. So what we got the sky being inferior miraged underneath these boats, right? Giving the impression that these boats are lifted up and floating above a false horizon. This false horizon is slam dunk. Look how fragmented this thing is. It's got fragments everywhere, right? And I could see the true horizon or the horizon, right? No off-center vision needed. This is the best example of looming that I've seen. There might be other ones out there, but that's not my point. The point is to take Andrew Thomas Young to the woodshed. They don't even know what refraction, the looming part of refraction is. They don't. They are clueless. So, the appearance above the horizon of a distant object that would normally be hidden below it, that definition doesn't apply here. And how would you know it would be normally hidden below it? It's non sequitur, right? How would you know that? You wouldn't. What's my definition? Looming is nothing more than an optical illusion. Optical illusion, right? Produced by the sky being inferior mirage. What's the sky doing here? The sky is being inferior miraged. What else does it say? Underneath an object, giving the appearance of said objects floating above a false horizon. Ding, 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 ding. Right? It's it. Nothing you can do about it. Questions, comments?
Back to the point, I should have left it till the end. Atmosphere, sphere-shaped air, light bending around the presupposed radius value. All of what's just been described about looming be an argument that didn't involve those geometric values based on radius. None of them involve that. But, like with Mick West, we'll talk all day about fraction in a very educated way. And Anthony Riley, all credit to him, held him to task when it came to justification for the bait and switch on his website. It was to say, when he says 7/6R, there's a little click here button, takes you to a site that talks about refraction that we actually experience. Doesn't mention R anywhere. That's the bait and switch. They'll make it seem like they know about refractive effects. They'll argue with you about what looming is or isn't. But ultimately, it's not their geometric refraction. Their geometric refraction requires a tangent point horizon. We've debunked it with the black swan.
There is another effect can give exactly the effect that Andrew Thomas Young describes. And I filmed it last year sometime. And in the past few days, Flatside shared a video that shows the exact same thing. And it's inferior mirage on the horizon and a boat that appears to be floating across the horizon, but it's not. So it gives the impression that this boat is after being lifted up above the horizon, but at a distance. But when you can zoom in with a super zoom camera, something they didn't have years ago, you can see that it shows inferior mirage is the reason it looks like that. Whereas if the inferior mirage wasn't there, the horizon would be past the boat. And I filmed this at between 18 and 19 miles. So like people could see that and go, oh, look, looming. But no, it's not. So there's two examples. The example of the sky mirroring onto the water and inferior mirage on the horizon. Two examples that show exactly what it is that they think is looming.
I think that was incorporated in Quantum Eraser's definition, though, versus Andrew Thomas Young. So you're saying, I assume, I haven't seen all Flatsides, I'm really sorry. But I assume you mean the sky is inferior mirage below the line, like a mirror line terminology for the Isle of Man. On that mirror line, below it, you've got an inferior mirage of the sky. Is that what you mean?
No, I'm talking about just on the horizon itself. So in my observation, I could see I think it was 18.1 miles, And at a distance, without the zooming, it looked like the boat the ship I had was floating across the top of the horizon, not touching the horizon. But it was just inferior mirage at the bottom of the boat that was on the horizon. So when you zoom, you can see that it's just that the boat is inferior mirage down, the bottom of it down. So what happens is it looks from a distance like the boat is floating above the top of the horizon. So it would look exactly like what they think looming is, but it's not. It's just inferior mirage on the horizon, giving the impression, because the bottom of the boat is mirage down the way, it's inverted down the way, it gives the impression that the boat is floating above the horizon when it's not. If the mirage...
You've said the same thing. That is what quantum eraser defines as looming, not them.
No,
So,
he's talking about... Go on.
Yeah. At that mirror line where you've got the inferior mirage of the boat below itself, everything else on that horizontal plane is also down below itself, including the sky at the same level as the boat. So while you've only got the inferior mirage of the boat reaching the false horizon in quantum eraser's definition, that implies or infers, one of the right words is, the sky is also mirage down below itself to give that artificial horizon below it. Now, it might only be a couple of mil once you zoom in of what you're calling mirage layer. Now, Travis calls it the ether band. That entire horizontal plane is, if you want to use the word refracted down below itself, including the sky.
Yeah, I know the one that QE shows, and I know that one. I've known that one for a good while. But this one is slightly different. What I do is I post it into Master B, and you can look at it. And if you want to share it, then you can, or you can look at it later, or share it on the show, or whatever. No, I'm not saying this show. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just so you have a visual of what I'm talking about.
Yeah, good enough, man. Post it in there. Yeah, I'd like to see what you're talking about. Yes. All right. Anything else? I want to go over, because this has gone pretty quick. Let's go over a couple things we haven't gone over in a while. Let's see what we got here. I'll give Nathan a bone here in a few minutes. I'd like to go over this. Horizons, the different horizons that are out there. And this is a lot of fun. You can see the game that they're going to play, right? And this is National Geographic, the first 3, or the first 4, and 5. This is National Geographic. Guys, these guys are the subject matter experts in the field. Right? Now we're not asking about genetics, or redox reactions. They're not going to have anything to say about that, but National Geographic, right? You get it? It's in the terms or the phrase. My word. National Geographic, we already heard this definition, right? Many, many times. The local horizon, also called the geometrical horizon, is the visible boundary between the Earth and the sky. Right? All you hear, baltards, they'll just deny it's an invisible horizon. Really? But this is a typo. They misedited. Ridiculous. In other words, this is the geometric horizon. Okay, what's the second one? The geographic horizon. The geographic horizon is the apparent boundary between the Earth and the sky. Yeah, that's the geometric horizon. That's the same thing. It's apparent. Number 3, the sea level horizon. Well, what's that? The sea level horizon is the geographic horizon at sea level. So the geographic horizon is the geometric horizon. So if the sea level horizon is the geographic horizon at sea level, that means the sea level horizon is the geometric horizon. So there goes 3. They're talking about the same things. What they're trying to do, it's like a feeble equivocation fallacy. It's really knucklehead. I think they spread these out in the article, so they think that people will forget by the time they get down to the next one or something. I don't know. It's preposterous. So the next horizon we got is the astronomical horizon. So National Geographic states as the astronomical horizon is the imaginary horizontal plane. Always, we don't deal with imagination here. National Geographic. We don't deal with that, right? That's why we discount and mule kick your astronomical horizon out of the discussion because it's imaginary. Now, let's look at Britannica. They also have a definition for the astronomical horizon. They call it the boundary where the sky seems to meet the ground or sea. Well, what's that? Well, that's the geometrical horizon, right? Is the visible boundary between the earth and the sky. It's the same thing, right? Unbelievable. So, and then finally, we got the last one, number 5. We have the true horizon from National Geographic. Is the imaginary plane that passes through, here we go again. Imaginary. We don't do imaginary. We do actual stuff here. We work at the really is level. So we're just going to mule kick this out into Narnia. Does everyone follow this? Any questions on this, on these different horizons right here? Go ahead.
Well, there's only one. So while you say the different horizons, you exclude ones that are clearly defined as imaginary. You're left with the subject matter experts, which do fall lockstep with the assertion that we're on a sphere. There's only one, claiming geometrical horizon.
Yep.
Well, the geometrical horizon is sphere, Earth, curve, edge. That's what your horizon is in the first instance for globally. Okay, so we've discounted 2 imaginary horizons, then we've got one horizon that's segmented into 3 different descriptions, all describe the same thing.
Yep.
So there's only one visual horizon for a globe believer. It's your geometrical horizon. That's what your horizon is. Now you asked the question, I don't know if it was rhetorical, but I'm going to answer it anyway. Why would you have this introduction of 3 horizons that are the same horizon and 2 horizons that don't exist? Why would you need 5 horizons? Well, you need 5 horizons so that you've got more shells on the table. When you introduce one that doesn't exist but you don't mention it, in this case the geometrical horizon, you're going to know the difference. Well, if you then need to introduce a 6th horizon, a refracted apparent horizon based on the geometric horizon, and the geometric horizon is actually a horizon that's supposed to be visible, more confusing to the audience member or the debate opponent, as you've just described, as is used against you. So Rumpus's challenge is to say, Quantum Eraser described 5 horizons.
Yep.
Therefore, what's another horizon matter? It doesn't matter. A 6th one that only exists in the maths, that's fine. There's so many anyway. No, there's only one. Yours is Earth curve. You just debunked it with the black swan. So you need lots of them to cause a bit of confusion. But your Earth curve edge is your horizon. That's what you've got if you're a globe believer. You don't have to like it.
I'll bet you will hear sometime this week. Quantum Eraser just went over those 5 different horizons again. Oh boy. Yeah. Just a silly little.
I want to talk about. Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm just saying they want to talk. They want to talk about every horizon, but the actual real one. That seems to be the way they are. I posted those photos if you want them for later or whatever.
Perfect. I have a standard response when someone says that, Brian. Only have one horizon, and the horizon in your geometric Earth curve calculation was debunked by the black swan.
Yes.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll finish up with this. I'm going to leave you a bone, Nathan. Like you needed one. So, back to Andrew Thomas Young, San Diego State University Astronomy Department, the subject matter expert. DIP, including refraction. Listen closely. So far, we have ignored refraction and drawn the line of sight to the apparent horizon, which is redundant, as the straight line OG. Everyone's seen this before, the diagram before. I'm not going to put it up. But in the real world, there is some terrestrial refraction between the observer and the horizon. The line of sight to the apparent horizon is not straight but curved. So let's try to allow that for curvature. I'm not going to go through. I'm just going to leave this out there. I don't need to go through each point because it's preposterous. But I thought I'd throw a hanging curveball for you.
But yeah, so got in this description 2 horizons. One is geometric and one is, God, it's painfully redundant, apparent. Right? Saying that the apparent location with the sky, the land or sea, is based on these are his words, line of sight, the apparent horizon, OG. Now, Eraser, I don't know if this diagram's up on the audience. The state of play with the line OG. Not on screen, I'll just say don't leave a long pause. It's straight.
I'm sorry.
Tangent.
I'm sorry, I was talking and I was on mute. Sorry about that. I don't have the diagram on screen.
No problem. The Andrew Thomas Young diagram that accompanies this sentence has been read out from his website. Got 2 horizons. One, he just described, or was quoted by Quantum Eraser, being described by Andrew Thomas Young as having a line of sight. 2, the apparent horizon, OG. Well, that line of sight and it being an apparent position means you can see it and measure it. So he says, in a paradoxical way this sentence is structured, that in the real world, it's like, hold on, what do you mean in the real world? We've just had line of sight to it. It's just been apparent. And it must be. Because that line in his diagram, which is still there with a dotted line instead of a fixed bent one, is what the basis of the geometry requires to do the geometry. Otherwise, he wouldn't be mentioning it. Certainly wouldn't be describing how you have a line of sight to it, or how it is a apparent horizon. Like, if it's not apparent, why he has to say that it is, it's not a horizon. But he has got a line of sight to it, and that's what we've drawn to do the geometry, nudge, nudge. But in the real world, we don't have that. And what he doesn't have in that sentence is the claim of Earth curve. We did draw a line of sight to Earth curve. In the real world, we don't have Earth curve. The paraphrasing of what he's saying in that sentence justify not having tangent-based Earth curve edge horizon, which is required to do the geometry he's using to refract it to that non-geometric position and give him a second horizon based on the first horizon, which you can't see, but has a line of sight to it.
Do you like the last one? The line of sight to the apparent horizon is not straight. It's curved. Uh-oh. We got problems, Lucy. She got some splaining to do because you need it straight. Because what's a tangent again? This is an unimaginable train wreck right here. Andrew Tom. Can somebody go get him? All right, we got some questions. Anyone? They got him on speed dial?
Rumpus has him on speed dial. He had this documentation and diagram to his fingertips when he was telling us, I'll phrase, when he lied to us about how you knew the targets in the maths were refracted. Told us that you knew they were refracted because of their position with respect to the horizon. Now, just moments before saying that, 3.5 years ago, scrolled over that diagram from Andrew Thomas Young, why I'm more than content to call him outright a liar. He full well, the position with respect to the geometric horizon he described wasn't visible. Had this document years ago. Hence, the liar. And that's what you must do in light of the black swan image. You do geometry, that is to assert Earth is a sphere with your maths, You need a tangent, straight line. And the straight line meets the circle sphere at the tangent point claimed to be Earth curve. That's your horizon. The moment you bend that line, all bets are off. Can't do the geometry to make the claim anymore.
Keep going. I'm trying to find it.
Devastating. This is the black swan. It doesn't matter how you can summarize it in the most convoluted, complex manner you like, or boil it down to us only having one horizon. And in every single instance and every single segue they might try and take the argument down, it always leads the same outcome. The end of the assertion in the first instance. The geometric assertion. It's the claim that requires a tangent. You align to your claim to be Earth curve edge, the point that's claimed to be blocking, the point that demarcates your sphere restrictions and geometry with your geometry. You haven't got that. What's that? Well, that's Earth curve. Well, then you haven't got Earth curve. It is just that simple and that complex all at once. But you only need one. That's why it's called the black swan. There's rhyme and reason behind why it's been labelled with that Karl Popper analogy in mind.
Yeah, I tried to find it. The only one I got is the no refraction one. I can't find that thing, man. Keep going.
We finally named it. We called it donkey dick geometry in bent lines instead of straight ones. And we have them over a barrel at the moment on Flat Earth debate. Like I say, the only people seem like they have to come in are people like Rumpus, where he has to lie in order to defend the current position. Now, this has come off the back of the argument that now involves Isle of Man, essentially. We've got Blackpool Tower, we've got the same exact locations, we've got pictures where we previously debated with wind turbines and Blackpool Tower and the Isle of Man all in one image. All of those claims were based on the geometry, based on a geometric horizon, based on things being refracted with respect to the horizon. And the whole point of the argument was to prove that the horizon was an obstruction called Earth curve. What's the point of those arguments? And the moment you refract the horizon, it validates all of those arguments, leaving you with only one choice if you're someone like Rumpus and you're trying to defend this. Lie. No, we definitely did refract the lighthouse.
Her lighthouse. You know why? Because balls.
Don't interrupt me.
Nathan, I was going to say that the next day on the show, and I got off kilter, and I forgot all about it. That whore lighthouse. What is that? Too funny, man.
You've got, for context for this audience, you've got a position where Rumpus is having to lie because he's now claiming that he always refracted the horizon. No, not since 2020, in spite of me pointing out that he knew about this argument potentially being on the horizon. He knew about it long ago. Nevertheless, he made his bed, tucked the sheets in, slept in it, made his assertions very clear about what he was claiming at the Isle of Man, with the horizon being Earth curve edge blocking the bottom of the island, or blocking wind turbines going into the distance, etc., etc. The claims were made very clear, and they're paradoxical now because you can't go back and erase time and say, no, I wasn't claiming that the horizon blocked the Isle of Man. I was claiming refracted horizon was blocking it. So it wasn't blocked by Earth curve, then blocked by refraction. You just say is based on sphere-shaped air, and you can't see it. It only exists in the maths. Why are you claiming it was blocking the bottom of the Isle of Man? Oh, you weren't. You were definitely saying Earth curve got in the way. Now you just have to lie. And that's where it ends for an argument, when even the most educated debaters on the globe side, the lie. What Rumpus is forced into doing, thanks to cats, I might add, because of the most recent argument in this regard. It brings us back to the Isle of Man. It brings us back to the lack of perspective, because that's what they're making as a straw man claim. We don't. It all comes back up, and it's all been documented in terms of what was claimed. Yeah, your Earth curve edge horizon was what you were trying to prove blocked the Isle of Man. And when they try and deny it, like Rumpus does when he lies, and say, no, I claimed the lighthouse was refracted, he knows damn well that when he was doing the maths to refract the lighthouse, drew a tangent to Earth curve to do the geometry. In other words, when in practice, when using Earth curve math, you have to use a tangent. So refracting the lighthouse invalidates all those maths. Thanks to Katz and Co, I've been highlighting that for the last 2 straight weeks. But the commenters crack me up greatly. They keep putting things like Nathan in panic mode, video 23 about this subject. I'm like, yeah. I think I'd have got bored if it was me panicking. You'll keep bringing it ranty like I give a crap. It's like, no, you don't seem to be getting it. It's only taken 18 months. Every time someone drew out a tangent to Earth curve, i.e. did the geometry, they were making an assertion that they had a straight line to do the geometry. And that straight line's now bent. Game over.
Yeah.
Lie to your back-teeth squirm for us. Tell me I'm panicking. Just amuses me.
Yep.
Because you're dumb. And it's clear to me and anybody who's got, the ability to fog a mirror, as you put it, Quantum Eraser, to see it when they read your comment. They're going to know that you're too stupid to understand the implications of what you use in rebuttal. If you refract that tangent, it's not a tangent, and that's required to do your geometry.
Hey, that was yeoman work. I agree with everything you just said, and you were giving me plenty of time to find. I cannot find it. Now, you'd think that people would understand that and probably post that thing right in Ballbusters live stream text to help a brother out, but no, won't do it, right? You're just riding the train. Too funny. I can't find this thing. I don't know where it is. We're good, though.
And do you want me to get it? I can actually post it in Ballbusters at a pinch if I'm not talking.
Yeah, post it in. Can you post it in a Ballbusters live stream right here?
Got one better. I've got one that's got like dumbed down. Look, here's our second geometric horizon. There you go. It's in Ballbusters.
Yeah, please, right here in Ballbusters.
Like this.
I'll make sure and save this one where I can't get it. I can't talk. Can you make it so I can? Yeah, in a few minutes. We're still working on this.
It just shows the dotted line is OG. That's the geometric horizon he has a line of sight to and requires in the geometry. But I can't see the real world. We don't see it. Well, that's a big problem if you've got that dotted line. You haven't got the dotted line anymore.
Yep.
Why is the dotted line there? Well, because it's needed to do geometry. Just can't see it anymore. Well, what does the dotted line represent? Well, it represents the tangent to Earth curve in the geometry. We can't see it. We're going to refract it with the geometry it's based on. And so it goes on.
Yeah, it's one big circle jerk. And like I said, multiple begging the question fallacies that we identified. The biggest one, and I don't think people are really catching on to this. I keep stressing it. You cannot curve gases. That is strictly verboten with gas behavior. You can't do it. It's belly laughing. They teach first graders this. You think I'm kidding? Hang on. Just wait to the Nupty clips. This is a first grade gas behavior class, I'm telling you. So it all ends right there, really.
Gases not go down, go boom, boom.
Gases don't curve. They don't have inherent shape. And more importantly, I wouldn't say more importantly, just as important, they don't have volume either. The only way they have distinct volume is if they're in a container. So they're busted any direction they go, the door slams. And there's somebody waiting there, usually me with a nail spike 44-inch Louisville Slugger. Sorry.
I'm piecing together how that's come to fruition, and I've got there pretty quickly. So we've got the V in gas law. You're like, well, where'd you get the V? They're like, well, the V is just an amount of gas. You're like, well, as the gas in the amount of area? Well, it just is. It's just that amount of gas. That's the volume of gas, that is. Like, no. Gas expands to fill the availability of volume it has to fill. Therefore, the V is dictated by the containment, not by the gas. But I can just hear somebody who's got a problem because they've got a sky vacuum belief, i.e. gas pressure here on Earth without containment. They're trying to explain how they can have that gas pressure without containment. They just say, well, the volume up to an arbitrary position, say the Kármán line, that's the volume. It's just that amount of gas.
Yeah, yes, sir. Hey, thanks for putting that photo in Ballbusters, man. You put it no, maybe I screwed up. I said Ballbusters live text, but that's all right. Just give me 30 seconds.
Ballbusters Skype. Sorry.
Yeah, we were cross purposes there. It's no big deal. Let me save it here in. I'll always have it. Never to be a problem again.
It's a pretty crappy diagram, really. I mean, no offense to Andrew Thomas Young. But crude drawing of pit vision, fear, belief with two horizons. I mean, let's not build it up too much, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, let me get out of that 1 second. Get you out of there.
18 minutes Mondays. You think you'd get this by now? Realize that barking refraction at us isn't actually a rebuttal, it's death knell.
All right, let's see how this looks. Have to resize it possibly. Let me bring.
The girl from Ipanema hummed. A girl holding some balloons and maybe a doll with technical difficulty.
It's too big. Hold on a second. Oh, I think I got it. Go ahead, Nathan.
I'm just humming the girl from Ipanema to fill technical difficulties time.
There was no technical difficulties. We're good. It's up.
Yeah, there you go. Donkey dick geometry for you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope it was worth the wait. So, at the end of these presentations with the Black Swan quantum eraser, we always assess, we used to assess how long it'll take to get it. Then I think about a couple of months ago, Chocolate might be the person that pointed out that to understand the argument leaves you with no option but to relinquish a fear belief. Now, earlier in the show, I was like, well, people who potentially realize the implications of the argument just keep their distance. Which assessment would you say is more accurate? I.e., is it the case that they're all just dumb and don't understand the argument, it's beyond their comprehension, or they do understand it and realize that there's no debating it, therefore they keep clear because they understand it, but just don't want it, stick their head in the sand. So, which do you think is more accurate?
Yeah, you're trying to get me to divine a lot of people, a mass of people's intents. I just don't have the ability to do that. I understand what you're saying, though, because you know that I deal with them on a daily basis. It's I think you have to go in on each individual case. The majority that I think they're too lazy to get into the argument to understand it. Now, I could be wrong about that, but that's the impression that I get, and all they want to do to get rid of it is refraction. That's it.
I'd agree with that assessment based on the Blackpool Swan. As I said at the start of the show, you'd think you'd assess these things in the first instance. And, well, no, there's a comparison with the Black Swan that does have a formerly known as Earth Curve Horizon seemingly blocking the bottom of the first platform. Well, also a Black Swan, it just, like you say, if you're lazy, just look at a picture and it affirms your bias, where every picture you've seen before where you've had something to that effect, i.e. seeming obstruction at the base of whatever you're looking at, a clock, a lighthouse, an island. Oh, well, that's Earth Curve then. That effect that I'm seeing in that picture, Earth Curve. They look at that picture, the second picture of the oil platforms, and go, that's obviously Earth Curve then. They don't go, let's assess this for whether or not the geometric limitation an Earth Curve would have sits where it should sit. And because of laziness, they just don't bother assessing it. Just throw that and go, I can debunk your Black Swan. They go, I've said this already, hold on. Do you not understand why it's called the black swan? We only need one. Your bloody ball isn't inflatable. You know,
Yes.
coming up with the second one after we've shown you one black swan. It's the equivalent of the village idiot having, you know, told everyone in the town that there's no such thing as black swans, they're all white. And someone strolls Moses, let's say, into town with a black swan under their arm, right? They go to the village idiot and go, "Hey, you're wrong. Look, here's a black swan. Found one. You know, they're just rare. They're not as common as white swans. So not all swans are white." The village idiot scratches his head, walks away, comes back to the man holding the black swan and goes, "Look, a white swan. This debunks your black swan." That's the equivalent, right? Yes, Nathan, great analogy. They're really stupid. I agree, Nathan. Yes, thank you. Oh, you're also encouraging.
Sorry, listen, I'm practicing my mute discipline, and I keep on putting it. I'll get better at it. But yes, exactly.
Yeah, you only need one. They're strolling up to us after the fact with what you think, even though
I need work on that.
Yeah, it's even worse, right? Because it's like I'll take the analogy one step further, right? So the village idiots come up to the guy clutching the black swan. He's got a white swan under his arm. The village idiot says, "Look, I can debunk your black swan. Look, I've got a white swan." Yeah, and the guy clutching the black swan goes, and all of this flour flows off one that the village idiots picked up, and it's actually a black swan, just covered in flour. Like, no. Also, the one you're holding is black.
Black swan covered in flour. That's
That's a PETA violation.
I thought of it in advance. He'd have gone into a windmill or something to get the swan. Anyway.
Yeah. That concludes the presentation for the black swan. So if you want to go through, I think some people, well, a couple people that were in here, they took off. Why would you do that? All right.
If that's a hint that you're holding out hope someone's going to come and debunk something with modus solens logical consistency attached, 18 months, never going to happen. Absolutely watertight.
Well, I heard the black swan was debunked at least 400 or 500 times. I guess that means if people say it's debunked, then it must be debunked. It doesn't require any substance behind that. Oh, yeah, it's debunked. Really? How so? Nothing.
There is one example, if you mentioned it. They say it's debunked, and you say, "How so?" And they say refraction.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy, they fall into that trap. Oh, it's bad for them.
In spite of your not wanting to divine the thoughts of the masses, I think it is demonstrably obvious that certain people have recognised the argument after they've come into the debate arena. People like Tim Osman appeared for a short period of time and then comes in, claims that, well, the black swan argument's debunked refraction. Then you take him by the hand through the steps of the argument. And the end conclusion from Tim Osman on no less than 3 separate occasions was that nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve.
Yeah.
Now, at the time, I didn't let slip that I wanted to get quite a few, sound bites of people saying it. I've got 4 or 5 now. I've got plenty. Before I pointed out that, hello, you personally drew tangents to horizons and claimed Earth curve. Correct me if I'm wrong, but was it not the guy who makes the other Earth curve with a perspective flat Earth straw man next to it? What's that guy's name?
You're talking about a model?
Yeah.
Walter Bislin?
Walter Bislin. Tim Osman was like right hand in hand with Walter Bislin, making the assertions from his maths, the exact same geometry and assertion of a tangent. So Tim Osman personally made the assertion that the horizon's Earth curve and drawn a tangent to it by way of Walter Bislin's assertions in his maths. And used those maths. So he personally, as I say, I didn't mention this at the time, along with all the rest of them, it was much easier to, or much better to tie it to a monumental blunder in terms of a claim that's got a black swan in it, and there wasn't anybody doing it. And then, hallelujah, Cats and Co. drop one on it. You know, and I can make that link. Up until then, it's just, you know, lines of fundies coming up and doing the same old boring crap that they've done for the last 18 months, which is refraction. Then it takes it onto the step where no one's claiming the geometric horizon exists. We've never claimed it. You know, take it as far as you can before you go, here it is in your maths. Here's you claiming it. You know what I mean?
Yes, yeah. That went on for some years, them claiming that. I'm sure, and there's a lot of videos to go through, you can have an encyclopedic category of multiple numpties saying that. And not only saying it, but demonstrating it. From what I remember.
Yeah, but holding on to it meant that I can now seek justification or anything that Rumpus ever has to say. Up until this point, like, well, he's part of the crowd, he's defending the globe, he's very educated on it, yes, he's a pain in the ass. Now he's just a liar. Okay? Saying he refracted the whole lighthouse back in the Isle of Man. He's a liar. So I can declare that. And nothing he has to say on the subject matters anymore. He's a proven liar.
Yes, sir. I'm just surprised. Like I said, it's hard to divine the intents of most people. And I don't play that game anyway. I'm not into that. But sometimes it's patently obvious. The shocking part to me is that they can't recite the argument back. It's not like it's, 3-paragraph argument. It's basically a short sentence. But they can't do it now. Maybe it's not that they can't do it, but if they do it, then they're compromised, right?
Yeah, there is one example. Mr. Sensible. So he paraphrased back Mitchell from Australia, giving the modus tollens argument. Upon actually reciting it verbatim, paraphrasing it back to his opponent, he then made the logical conclusion. Well, at best, you've debunked the radius of the Earth.
You're right. That was perfect. Yeah. He didn't realize it, which is hilarious, man. And then what happened after that? He said he didn't say what he said. Something like that. Mr. Insensible, you're a joke.
Yeah, it's a lie. And now I didn't say that. And then, Anthony on his case saying, yeah, here's you saying it.
The tangled webs they weave. All right.
Yeah, that's the problem with Black Swan. It leaves you in a position as a glober where you have to lie. That's the bottom line. Understanding the argument and retaining globe belief means lying.
Yes, sir. Well, do we have any thoughts? I don't want to do final thoughts on it.
We were killing time hoping that we'd get that 1 in a trillion person that comes and debunks it.
Yep.
The odds are getting shorter by the day.
Yep. Listen, the link to come into this chat is in the description box below the video. Just come on in. If you have a legitimate argument and can articulate it, this should be easy. Not a difficult argument. And debunk it, just do it. It's okay. We'll be nice. I got some hot chocolate, and we'll have somebody rub your feet. Wing low.
It's going to end up being final thoughts, Anybody on the panel want to add anything?
Go ahead, Arwen.
To be fair, I was kind of asking things. Well, not. It's been a really good hangout. A great show. Glad to be part of it. had a good dinner, and yeah, ballers really don't seem to know very much. Got minus 33 downvotes. So they brought out the entire sock drawer, piled it all on there, because they don't like to be reminded why the flat Earth is the real thing and why the ball is all successfully show a lot. So well done.
Thank you. Channel shout out, please.
Yeah. My channel is Arwin, ARWIGN. Do a show pretty much every day. I do it every day. That Flat Earth Early Bird Show. 1 p.m. Amsterdam time, weekdays, 2 p.m. in Amsterdam time in the weekend. And yeah, I hope to see you there. I interact with chat directly. That's like how I do it. And been having a couple of really good streams a few weeks. The ones that I title are usually the better ones.
The ones that you title? What do you do with the untitled ones?
I just leave them untitled. I mean, they have a number, right? But it's just no name because it's been sporadic.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that technique.
Right, but when a show is really good and I get inspired and it really has a theme, then I name the show after that, whatever comes up. So do it. Hope to see you there in chat. Thanks for letting me on the panel.
Blackpool Swan, won't you come?
Mute him, Nathan.
I was gonna say something nasty about Arwin, but I thought I'll mute. No point saying something nasty. He offered nothing in that summary other than plugging his own channel. Mentioned how nice his dinner was.
Well, it came up, right? So I thought I'd give the payoff.
Based on a general assumption about what takes place on a Ballbusters, gave the most vague commendation for what had taken place after declaring you didn't listen to a bloody word of it. I think that's brilliant.
Didn't listen to no, I've been really listening to it in the background, but kind of busy with chat and trying to figure out where Owen Benjamin's channel has gone. Seems to be deleted on YouTube again.
Right.
So checking out Martin Liedtke's stream.
Like keeping a really close eye on something at the corner of your eye, that sort of thing.
No, but I'm listening to you guys. I'm just looking at other things.
I'm just pulling your leg. Don't worry, Arwin.
No, but I know what you guys are talking about. I thought I contributed quite to the conversation because this is the material, you know. This is what we do over at the Flat Earth Debates and the Ballbusters, is get these machinations, like puzzle them all out, completely back engineer them, reconstruct them, so we know exactly what it is, how it works, and then can identify exactly how it has been used and is being used and has to be used because it's the only way to use it. And so, yeah, it's quite a spectacle to really get an oversight on it. And I hope that a lot of people that are hanging in chat and following us, that they also get it, because it's pretty tough to get a grip on this, right? The ballers barely have a grip on what they do. They just follow the methods and probably don't really understand fully even what they do when they do it. So we have a better grip on it than they do. But that doesn't mean that everybody that's a flat earther is just going to straight out understand everything about what we're saying. So I really hope that a lot of people are getting this over time. Of course, repeating something definitely helps. So, and we have been doing that.
Hey, Nathan, I'm sure Arwin can go without listening and understand the Black Swan argument by now, hopefully.
I'm only pulling his leg, and I know by listening in the background he can.
Right. Well, I have a very basic rule of fist that I apply that almost is too simple. It's just that every very far distant photograph is a black swan photograph. That's always true. Because if it's very, very far, it's going to violate the spherical geometry, because otherwise you can't see things very, very far away. So every super far distance photograph is a black swan photograph. It's always going to be. Because every time it's not supposedly a black swan photograph is because the background is blurred up, so you can't see as far. And then the ballers say, oh, that's because it's a sphere now. Well, that just means that if you have a very far distant photograph, it's a black swan photograph, always. Because the Earth is flat. And when you see very far on it, you see how flat it is.
Agreed.
Creation Bear. Thanks, Arwin.
Hey, thanks, QE. Thank you, Nathan. Good job to the rest of the panel. I'm just tuning in to sharpen my sword, sharpen up my skills, drop an anchor. I'll keep tuning in.
Thank you, and you're welcome. Data.
Hey, man. Good show as always. And keep it coming, man.
Thank you. I will. Don.
Thanks for the show. I've been busy with things around me. Been trying to listen here and there. In this Atmos not a sphere orthodox. Not to deviate the conversation on topic, QE. Check out what those raptured trucks. You might like that one.
You got some raptured trucks for me?
Yeah, I tagged you in it in the chat. You got to check that out. You might like that video.
Okay, I'll get back with it later. Yep, can't do it right now, but I'll get back with it. I marked it. Okay. Thanks, man. Flat Earth Solar.
Sorry, guys. I just joined late, so skip me.
No, it's okay. You're good. Flat Earther. Hey, what's up, Flat Earther? Haven't seen you in a while, man. What's going on?
All good, man.
Wow, that's hot.
I got myself a new microphone.
It sounds like it. Wow, man, you nearly blew me out. Everyone's in chat is dead.
Okay, I'll reduce the gain.
Yeah.
So that's the thing going on. I've been talking to a lot of people in India on other Discord servers. I'm spreading the word, doing my bit.
Outstanding. You like the Black Swan? Think it's a strong to potentially very strong argument?
Yep, as good as ever, and I've been explaining the concept of Black Swan to many people.
Outstanding.
So the addition of refraction, so like you always say, bakak, refraction is the response that I also get most of the time.
Sure.
So all the terms here really come helpful in order to explain things.
Sure. And let me post something in here for you. My typical refraction response. You don't need to use it, but you can have it for, just a resource. Let me go fetch it for you. I'll post it here in Ballbusters live stream.
While you're doing that, I'll do a shout out to Retro Bill. Excuse me. There's loving the numpty clips, QE. Ruhif's rudimentary bungling of the modus tollens argument will bring a smile to my face on my deathbed. That's Retro Bill.
Yeah, Roofy, you numpty. Good catch. I thought a lot of people would be commenting on that, but Retro Bill, he's pretty sharp. So what Roofy did was he gave a modus ponens and he categorized it as affirming the consequence. So go back and check that out, man. It's hilarious. That one really cracked me up. A lot of people didn't get it. I don't know why. Maybe they just didn't comment. So maybe it's an argument from silence fallacy I'm going on about.
Did he give if P then Q, not Q, therefore not P? What did he actually give us the argument and then incorrectly identify?
Oh, you're trying to make me go back there. He said, somebody said about heat and water boiling. So they said to him, and he consolidated the argument. He said, if heat, then water boils. And then he said, so we have heat, then the water boiled. That's an affirming the consequent. But it's not. That's the modus ponens. If P, then Q, P, therefore Q. The affirming the consequent is if P, then Q, Q, therefore P. Get it? Too funny.
So he gave. I misheard you. So modus ponens. If I cut my grass, it will be short. I cut my grass, therefore it's short.
Yes.
Well, that's perfect logic.
Yes.
Whereas he's actually saying, in the way that they do, if Earth's a sphere, will observe star rotation, therefore Earth's a sphere. So he's used the incorrect identification and labeled perfectly sound logic with a logical fallacy.
Yes,
Gotcha.
exactly. All right. Yep, here you go, guys. Let me post it. Sorry, it took me a little bit of time. I found it. But there you go, Flat Arthur.
Yep, thanks a lot. So I would like to point it out that just before your post, there is this guy, Flat Andy, to whom I was explaining the black swan. And he just recorded it on Discord. It would be partly in English and partly in Hindi, but an explanation of the black swan and how it proves the earth is flat. Some 5 to 6 minutes explanation was just posted above your post.
I see it. I see it up there. Yep. Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Keep up the good work, Arthur. Excellent stuff. I bring music to my ears listening to you tell us this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Neil.
Black Swan is going Hindi, huh? Look out.
The Indy 500, man. Is that all you got?
The presentation, learning a lot. Keep it up. Rumpus is a liar. Never be allowed on this show again. On any show. Cut him right off.
How about the Numpty clips? Is he fair game for those?
What's that?
Is he fair game for the Numpty clips?
Oh, yeah, you got. Well, he's loaded there. You got to keep putting him on there.
Like I said, folks, just a quick reminder, the Numpty clips this week. Don't miss this. Don't miss Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 2 p.m. U.S. Central. Monday, I haven't really put them in any order. I'm just off the cuff. It looks like we're going to have rockets in the vacuum, and then we're going to have second law of thermodynamics, and some other things added in there. And then we'll finish off the week with reference frames. Nathan, you're not going to want to miss. You guys, you're not going to want to miss these. I'm telling.
Sure, that's my only complaint. Just getting into it and they're over.
Well, listen, that's why they're called Numpty clips. They're not Numpty friggin' diatribes and documentaries. They're clips. Now, some are 5 minutes, some are 3 minutes, some are 12 minutes. It just depends on how long the Numpties go. But there's some longer ones in there too, man. Now, remember, we don't train to time. We train to standard. Substance. Okay? Tighten that shot group, son. Rams.
No, what about Rob? Oh, Rob's after him, so I'm sorry. Sorry. My bad.
Rob. He wants to get out. He's hot too, boy. Let me get him right away. Rams. You got the mic, sir. You're stonewalling us, huh?
You're Irish. The Irish?
I don't think Rams is. I could be wrong. Rob.
All right, I'll take over then.
Go ahead.
So, yeah, when you guys said they can't repeat the argument, it turns them into Mr. Sensible, or whatever you want to call them. That's not very sensible to say that you disprove the radius after repeating the argument. That's the thing. A lot of them, they don't even understand the argument. So
exactly.
I don't know what to say. If they repeat the argument, it puts them in a paradox.
Yes.
And they don't want to do that.
Well, force their hand, Rob. How? So just have them request to state the argument back to you and to everyone that's listening, right? And you insist. that before they go on to argue against something, you have to know the argument you're arguing against, right?
I just want to know that. Yeah, I just want to know that you know it, so that you can debunk it properly.
Exactly.
But when they cannot repeat it, they don't know it. So I wouldn't waste any more time with them on it.
Yeah.
Great show. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah, not a problem, man. We'll be I don't know, I might want to stick around on this argument for a while. Hold off a second, Nathan. I've been getting messages about this, and I know I said we finished this up at the beginning or near the beginning of the show. But these sack sniffing, half a sissy spinning space monkey McNancy morons want me to go after Witsit for being coached. What do you window lickers want me to charge him with? Asking questions fraud? Being fed questions to ask? What the hell? Have you thought this through? My word, people. Get away from the fluoride and from the power lines. Move away, okay? My word. Nathan, oh, sorry, Nathan, we got one more. Infinite Arts Pete. I never heard of you before. What you got? Infinite Arts Pete. Any question or comments, you come rolling on in here, man. I wanted to give you the floor. No? You stonewalling us.
A couple of others got AI Overlord 2.0. I don't know if you want to hustle him.
Hey, AI, yep. Let me get him. What's up, AI? I haven't seen you in a coon's age, man.
Hello. Man, there's been no new arguments from the globe, so I've had much to do.
Yeah, very true. Good to see you again, man.
Got data, flat Earth data.
Yeah, we already went over data. He gave a short. I know it was shocking. He gave a concise, hearty, good job, and then just went on mute. I'm still shocked.
In that case, if that's everybody, I want to do a little call to action. Don't mind.
Go ahead.
I gave this explanation on my show, but I'll give it again now. So try and keep it brief. There's a guy out there called That Umbrella Guy. He covers legal topics. I'm not even going to bother going into necessarily. But in his videos, he does a call to action explaining how significant the particular legal detail he's covering is, and therefore how much importance there is when it comes to sharing his material. He does it in a very sincere way, and I'm not saying he's not honest when he does action. But I thought about it and thought his long appeal to action justify why it's very important that you share his material pales into total significance when you compare it to what we've covered on this show. Now, that's not any slight against That Umbrella Guy or what he's covered. It is important in his world and what he's covering, and to the people he's covering it for, probably the most important thing in their world. But the world is more important than what's in his world, if you know what I mean. That's what we're discussing. So from now on, I will probably give a slightly more elongated call to action. And for a slightly more expanded reason, I said I'd keep this brief. He is also pointing out that a lot of what he's covering is censored. Okay, there's coming along trying to mass flag his videos, and YouTube don't like them covering the subject. Now, how true that is, I'm not even going to get into, but again, it's his justification, which I know in the truest sense of the word, having heard it discussed in Congress, is the case for us. So when we put out a call to action and say, please like, comment, share, subscribe, we really, really mean it. We are genuinely censored. We are difficult to find. And the way we are found, the way people do discover us, is only by you, the good people watching Ballbusters today. Thank you very much for watching, by the way. Sharing, so, and subscribing to Quantum Eraser channel or my channel if this is being mirrored on Nathan Oakley 1980. Those things are more important than ever. I've stressed them in the past. Hearing That Umbrella Guy stress them with the sincerity he did made me realise I don't stress it enough. Far from it, in fact, given the importance of the very nature of our reality. Hello, we don't live on a sphere. We're not flying through a sky vacuum, right? These things are what we cover. And the only way it reaches other people is by you, the audience, smashing the share button, subscribing, liking, feeding that juicy, hungry algorithm by leaving a comment. So please, please, please do all of those things. Thank you very much. That's my call to action. I don't know if you want me to round out off the back of that, or if you've got something to add, Kiwi.
We do have Infinite Arts Pete. Maybe he wanted to say something before we close out. I'll go ahead and unmute you again, sir. Any comments, questions, concerns?
Did you read out the
No, just enjoying the show as usual.
Outstanding.
Thanks
Appreciate it,
guys.
Yep. And we have also Proverbs, right? We had some quick people that joined the show. Proverbs, comments, questions, concerns? All righty then. Nathan, go ahead and take us home, sir.
Well, indeed, with that, I'll say first and foremost, my sincerest thanks to all of you in the live audience on the Quantum Racer channel or in the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering stream audience for hopefully liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, or becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, supporting Quantum Eraser via PayPal, all those good. Obviously, a massive thank you to all of the Ballbusters panel and anybody who joined in the live section from the public audience. So massive thanks to all of you. I have also got a show that is running out right now, which is brand spanking new Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show from my second channel, which is Nathan Oakley. So be here or be sphere for brand new Flat Earth Uncut and After Show over on the Nathan Oakley channel. Once again, a massive thank you to Quantum Racer for hosting Ballbusters. Another massive thank you to all of you for watching. I've been Nathan Oakley, and we'll see you all in the next Ballbusters.